funny friends, my funny friends, my funny, funky, funny friends now. My funny friends, my funny friends, my funny, funky, funny friends now.
Starring Drew Harrison and Will Abeles.
Welcome back to another episode of My Funny Friends with Drew and Will. I'm Drew Harrison. My lovely co-host Will Abeles is with me as well. From where are you at today? Still on the road, Mr. Will Abeles. Where are you at today?
Today I'm in Hagerstown.
Oh,
and we were in front of the legendary...
I've never heard of it. Let's go.
No, it's like this place that I talk about all the time.
If you were to say there's a pride of Hagerstown, what would you say that would be per se?
It's either me or the guy that just won the NCAA tournament for the second time for 183 Wrestling. I won't say his name because then that'll overshadow me.
There's also a pro wrestler from Hagerstown as well.
I do have to say that if anyone watched, I mean, this clock is legendary from 2020.
Oh,
from all the Zoom shows.
Okay, this was the backdrop.
But it's finally, it had two prongs and one finally fell off.
You broke it.
There you go.
He broke it.
My lovely assistant.
Back at your mom's house for a split second, you're breaking everything.
Look at that. So finally,
Bev, why do you keep letting them in your house?
That's not her choice. I just break in. I got the keys.
Well, Will, why don't you go ahead and introduce our guest for this week, sir?
I'm 1 for 1 on introductions right now, so I'm feeling
the pressure's
good.
On.
I know. I mean, the last one crushed it, but I had to do a different voice to do it. So I want to do.
Okay,
my
get in
voice.
your character.
So, no, I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna try it my way.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. No, I don't want to sell out anymore. I want to be me. You know. Well, this man, we're switching up a little bit here on My Funny Friends. It's exciting. This is not someone that's a traditional stand-up comedian, but a very, very funny human being. He was actually one of the first 3 people I met in Nashville when I was deciding if I wanted to move there or not. And we had probably, I would say, too much fun. Based on the hangover the next day, I would say it was way too much fun.
But you can remember.
But a very talented musician, and I'm excited to get to talking to him. So close. Get to talking with him, and letting you get to know him as well, guys. Everyone, give it up for Brother Love.
Thank you very much. Look at that, Will. You're 1 for 2. Look at that.
Streak ends at 1.
I'm happy to say you're 1 for 2, but hey, that's you're batting 500, brother man. You're batting 500. That's good. That's good.
I was on a hot streak of 4 of just botching introductions, and then I finally crushed it. But
well, do you not normally do the introductions? Is that
he just usually messes them up.
I just always mess it up.
He doesn't. He was on a nice streak of not messing them up.
Yeah, very nice.
But I had to do like a fake voice. I had to do a fake voice to not mess it up. I had to be like, "Hey, up next is," and
like your radio voice, like your DJ on and everything's on the line.
Yeah, but then I try and be me and just tanks it.
Man, you should listen to your mother. Just don't be you.
Don't be you.
Don't be you.
Don't
listen
be
to what
you,
mommy.
Will
Listen to what mommy always says. Don't be you.
Yeah,
we don't need that in the world. Thank you,
Brother Love. You do realize that's him going against every grain in his body. You telling him not to be him.
I know, of course. He's a fabulous man. He's a fabulously talented man. Absolutely.
It would be so much further along in my career if I was anybody but me.
I hear that.
That's great. Hey, Drew, where are you at? I know Will is in Hagerstown, which is Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Drew, where are you?
I'm in Nashville, Tennessee.
Oh, I could have come to your house. We could have hung out.
Nice, right?
Yeah.
You're in Nashville as well?
I am indeed in Nashville, Tennessee.
How long have you been in Nashville?
I lived in Nashville now for a little over 10 years.
So you've seen quite a change, huh?
Yeah, it's about 12 years now I've been here. Oh, it's completely different. All the folks that are moving down from New York and like myself, they're doing. I was
going to ask where you came from originally.
Queens, New York, born and raised in Queens, spent my adult life in the East Village of Manhattan. Okay. Yeah. So I'm a New Yorker through and through. And I came down to Nashville, just like many people, playing in the music business. I got a gig playing down in Nashville. We went on tour and I never left.
Now I see a drummer behind you. Is drums your instrument of choice?
That's my first instrument. And then I realized that I married a real drummer. That's Sarah. That's Sarah Tomek.
Fantastic.
So then I realized I'm not a drummer. I'm just what is it? I play drums. She is a drummer.
Gotcha. This is like a square and rectangle situation.
Yeah, I mean, I play drums, but she's the actual real drummer in the family, which is great. And she's from New Jersey.
Drummers. That is awesome.
Yeah.
6th grade year, we're signing up for band, and it got to me and the teacher, and my mom's right there. It's like first night before you even start, and they're like, "What instrument do you want to play?" I was like, "Drums," and they're like, "Have you taken piano?" And I was like, "No," and they're like, "You can't play." And I was like, what?
Really?
Is that a real correlation?
And then that teacher that made that rule after I bought the trumpet to play the trumpet left. And the new teacher didn't care. But now my mom was like, we bought a trumpet. You're playing the trumpet. So
that's because that teacher got a gig as a drummer. What happened was the teacher was like, I am not giving this shit up to any of you little kids. I'm the drummer. You learn piano and trumpet. I had a keyboard when I was a kid, and I wanted to learn. I loved music. I just appreciated it. I enjoyed it. And I had this little keyboard, and my cousin would come over, and he could always play, what was that? Da 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 da. What's that old tune? Gosh, it's whatever. Sorry. Anyway, he would play little tunes for me, and I would love it and laugh and all that. And I said, wow, what makes this piano work? So I took it apart, and it was this keyboard. It had a lot of keys and a lot of little parts, and I completely had a little basement, and there was all this plastic keyboard everywhere all around me. And I realized it was this tiny little fan. It was this big. Oh, no. And it made the whole thing go. I'm like, wow, the fan is what makes it work. And I looked around me. I said, well, fuck this. I don't know how to put this back together. So it sat there for about 6 months until my mother was like, you should get rid of this. So I threw out the keyboard. I just didn't know how to put it back together. And that was it. And then I was playing. I learned to play drums. Well, I was a kid. I was in summer camp. And I just gotten my ass beat in dodgeball, and I heard this sound coming from somewhere, and I ran towards the sound. And what is that? The sound, And I look up at the bottom. I was at the bottom of this hill. I look up, and there's this dude playing the drums, and I was like, "That's what I fucking want to do, man. That's it." And so I cut out. I was like 9 or so, and I cut out of all my activities, swimming and whatever else.
Canoeing when I got a drum kit, right?
I said, no, I'm hanging out with the band. And I went and I hung out in the basement of whatever the main house was. And I hung out all afternoon, and they played one song over and over and over, and it was Smoke on the Water. I loved every time. Yep. As soon as those 3 chords, da, 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 and I was like, it blew my mind. I said, that's it. And they did a performance, and it was just the one song, and the singer had these like socks on his arms with the feet cut off. So there was just like this arm band thing, and he was so cool, and they had long hair, and I was like, this is it, man. So I was like, Mom, a kid who runs home to his parents and says, I want to play drums. I want to be the loudest fucker anywhere.
Yeah.
And they said, look, you got to take lessons to make sure you're serious. And I took lessons, and I was able to get a drum kit. And I played drums as forever.
How did they soundproof the house, or did they just roll with it?
Oh,
go to the garage.
No, it was in the basement. And then what happens is, once you get older and you start to form a band, what happens is that you generally rehearse where the drum set is, so we
want to pack that thing up
we always rehearsed at my house, and we somehow managed to get a small PA system. So, we were in school, or we worked jobs after school. So it was like dinner time.
Oh no.
Every time it was dinner time, and everybody in my family was like, first bite. And you heard the door swing open, and these long-haired hippie freaks were like, hey, Mrs. Florman. How you doing, Mrs. Florman? Hey, Mrs. Florman. And we all went downstairs and made the loudest bunch of shit noise ever.
Yes.
And it was the best. It was fantastic. It was
What type of music were y'all playing at first?
It was all just rock and roll. We were just playing, any covers. And then we started writing music. I remember one song we wrote. It was called Love Cave.
Nice.
It's called Love Cave. Let me take you to your love cave. Yes. Oh, man. You couldn't write that today, boys and girls. Oh,
No.
It was so good. It was too good. It was just too good. Oh, it was horrible, but I stuck with it, obviously. And I came down to Nashville playing drums. I was a drummer I was playing drums in this country rock band. So I was just, I knew how to play. They needed a drummer. We ended up coming to Nashville and I never left. So there you go. Yeah.
There we go.
There you go.
I love how it's kind of an interesting parallel because a lot of the comics we talk to, it's sort of like, oh, how'd you get into comedy? And a lot of it, like not everyone. Some people are just kind of like, I don't know, I bombed and then I just kept doing it again or whatever. But we've had a few people that were like, they were drawn to it. They were like dabbling in something else, and then it came to them. And I love that you just heard someone playing the drums, and you were like, I have to go do this.
Well, I've learned a lot of comics I've met have that history in bands, whether they were merch guys or like on tour with a band, or they sang backup or played bass. Like they started with that lifestyle and just moved over to comedy. After
we're all performers. That's what it is. Yeah. Actually, truth be told, the guy who I saw at camp, he was actually up there telling jokes, but I'm like, he sucks. I'll play drums. No, I'm kidding. He was playing drums.
I'm just get in front of a microphone, buddy. I got this.
Yeah, I would doubt it. So you guys are. Did you guys have a name? The first band that you were playing with, did you guys have a name? And then how long did you? What did that transpire? Did I use this word right? What did that transpire to?
Don't get Blair in your head.
Blair's gonna call in. Like my phone's gonna start buzzing, and she doesn't even know this is happening.
There were, finding what happens when you're a kid. Like there's certain kids that play certain instruments. Like so when we were younger, like I was like I'm playing drums, but then like the real cool, good-looking, popular kid was like, I'm playing drums. I'm like, motherfucker, man, you got it all already, man. I'm going to play drums. And he's like, no, I'm playing drums. And everybody's like, ooh, Ian's playing drums. I'm like, fuck Ian, man. We
have to move the bass.
That was a specific name. That was a very specific name.
I just Ian was popular. That's all I know. I don't remember if he wanted to play drums, but he was popular, and he's a great guy. So, but you get a little older, and then you meet new people. High school comes around, or junior high and high school, and they're like, all right, well, we're gonna form a band, but then like that guitar player and that band is the guy we really want. So we kind of switched members here and there, but we were in a band called Cats and Yama, or like the Cats and Jammer kids. Yeah, they were pronounced Cats and Jammer. The bass player, who was older, he was older than all of us, and he had an apartment. And so we hung out in his apartment. We were all in high school, and he was probably like a year or two older, but he seemed like an adult because he had an apartment,
Yeah.
And we hung out, and so we grabbed a guitar player from another band, and my buddy Brian and I were the songwriters, and Ronnie Katsunyama. He changed his fucking name as an adult, by the way, to Cat. He couldn't even let it go. The band was terrible. They got tattoos. They all got so this band, we were, because we were all big Kiss fans, right? So it was all about the show as well. So this band, the bass player was an artist, graphic artist as well. So he drew. Everybody had a cartoon. I was the Scat Man. I was the Scat Cat. I was the drummer because I don't know why. I was Scat Man, Scat Cat, and I would play. And so I had this little cat that looked like a Scat Cat drummer. That was me. There was a guitar player's name was Scooch. There was Ronnie Katsunyama. Like all these things. And I remember, like they all went one night and got fucking tattoos. And my mother was like, my mother always smoked. So this is the universal. My mother's like, Larry, maybe you want to get a temporary tattoo. Don't, I'm like, I was like, Ma, don't worry. I'm not fucking getting a tattoo of this bullshit. You kidding me? Like, I know better. I'm like, this band can only do what this band can do. And I kid you not, there was a second guitar player in the band, and they all went out and got tattoos. And like the next day, they fired him from the band. So he was kicked out of the band. He had a tattoo, like whatever his nickname was, with his version of a cat with his face and a guitar, and Katsunyama. And
I'd kill somebody.
Motherfucker, they fired him from the band. I was
like, kill somebody.
How do you not tell him like, hey guys, we're all gonna get these tattoos? Like, how do you not just say, hey, actually, man, maybe you shouldn't? Like that's like, that's almost maniacal.
Yeah, it's called being a stupid kid. That's all. We were just, stupid. But that was, it was a long, long time ago. In fact, somebody just sent me some photos from those days, some gigs we did, and I was like, holy shit, it was fun. That's the good part of the internet, reconnecting with some old people that you're old friends that like, oh yeah, remember when you used to play it, on Bayside and on Bell Boulevard, Bayside. Like, yeah, it was great fun. It was a good time. Nice. So it was a great scene in Queens, throughout like high school and college. There was a really cool like metal scene, like hair metal scene and all that. And it was a lot of fun. It was the band White Trash came out of Queens, and they had a big hit called Apple Pie. And the bass player was my best friend. And cool. they had to wait for him to turn 18 for him to sign the record contract. Like they wait. Yeah. And I remember that was the band that got out of Queens. Yeah, White Trash. Like they were like, wow. It's like my friend's on tour. Like they're really doing it. So it was exciting. It was very cool. Yeah,
man. For the listeners at home, do you mind throwing a couple dates out there just so we know where we are on the timeline?
Late 80s. Okay. You're asking me how old I am? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm old, yeah.
Is that your round a fucking bout way, girl? That's very good. He's a real stealth. He's a stealthy guy. So it's no, this was like late 80s, yeah.
All right, cool. I just want to make sure we knew where we were at.
Late 80s and then early 90s. Yeah, like
Did you have a all-time favorite venue from back in the day that you just loved when your band was at that venue?
Well, God, we used to play a place called the Gun Club on Bell Boulevard, and it was a place that was it was Tommy Gunn.
Yeah,
and he was Tommy Gunn. Yeah. It was spelled with 2 N's, Tommy Gunn. Yep. And he was a badass dude. I mean, he had stuff going on in the city at the Ritz. He had stuff going on, the Palladium, the Ritz. He had stuff going on. And his thing in Queens, was that Lemoore in Brooklyn, Lemoore East in Queens. I mean, these were like staples for all of us coming up, and we were just kids, I was shitty and terrible. Our bands. It's funny because now as a musician, the caliber, and when I see people that are that age, younger people that I work with and write music with, and I'm blown away, especially, because we are in Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah.
When I see people who are 14, 15, 16, who are better than most people in their prime, I'm like, it's a miracle. It's a miracle I even am a musician from where I sort of came from. I just sort of, it's incredible. And
well, amazing. I mean, that was kind of the do-it-yourself metal. If organized, the messier it is, the better.
Well, yeah. I mean, rock and roll is not. Life isn't perfect. And rock and roll. Right. I mean, the Rolling Stones are the furthest from perfect, but if you were to clean that up and make it squeaky clean, it would be terrible.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
It would have no, Keith Richards said, you can have the rock, but you got to have the roll, baby. Yeah. And that's goes with anything in life. You could have the rock, but you got to have the sway. I mean, you guys are comics, it's like, if you don't know how to sway and figure out your spots within a room full of people or just one-on-one, right, then you're not really communicating. You're not being as self-expressive as you can be to the fullest extent of your, communicative powers, as it were,
Yeah, right. Like if you're not throwing a guy's white crock onto the roof of a hotel building in the middle of your set, you're not being your authentic self.
Here we go.
Yeah. Hey, Will, I met a friend of yours the other night, Marie.
Yeah, Marie. I heard Maria has actually also done the podcast, and she's doing her and her
Big
band
funny
are playing
friends favorite.
Yeah, and they're playing the Ryman, the Reformed Tours, just Reformed Tours. No, the Reformed Tours are playing the Ryman this Saturday.
Reformed Whores?
Yeah, Reformed Tours. It's a duo. It's a comedy music duo.
Oh, so wow, the Ryman. That's amazing. Wow.
Yeah. I think when this comes out, it will be the Saturday that's already passed, but. Yeah, they're doing the Ryman. So yeah, she's super excited about it.
She had a great story when she was on the podcast talking about one night she opened for, was it Primus? And then the next night,
Weird Al Yankovic. And it was at that festival that I had never heard of. Sturgis. Yeah, it was at Sturgis.
We were invited to play Sturgis a few years ago. My band, I'm in a band called Them Vibes, by the way.
Yeah.
And it was like we had been invited to play Sturgis, and the same week we got a call to open up for Cheap Trick
Awesome.
It was in South Dakota, like 2 shows, right? Sturgis is in South Dakota. Is that correct?
I think so. Yeah.
And they asked, Sturgis was like, well, you got to choose one or the other because of the radius clause. I'm like, it's South Dakota, a month apart.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? And by the way, we don't get many offers to travel that far. Can you just cut us a break?
Yeah.
So we took the Cheap Trick gig because Sturgis, there's probably more people. We took the gig with more money, actually. And we went out
so smart.
And we opened up for Cheap Trick. And that was such a blast. Like we were invited to stand on the stage and meet. Well, we were invited to meet Cheap Trick, and we met the band. And gosh, and then we were side stage.
Rick Nielsen?
Rick Nielsen. Thank you. Gosh, Rick Nielsen. So we're side stage watching Cheap Trick, having a blast. I had met Rick Nielsen a couple of times in the past. And anyway, we're standing watching Cheap Trick, and it was like the bass player was taking a solo, and all of a sudden we're on the side of the stage. We feel a tap on our shoulder, and it's Rick behind us. We're like, "The fuck are you doing here? You should be out there." And he's like, "Not bad for a bunch of old fuckers, huh?" And we're like, "Yeah, man, right on." He was great. He invited us up. We sang, Surrender or something with them, and that was such a blast. But anyway,
did he have to take a bathroom break real quick or something? He's like,
no, he was
solos going on.
The bass player was soloing, so he was just kind of messing around.
I'll take a 5. Yeah.
But I got to towel off real quick.
Yeah.
Well, I guess to bring it back. So I think at this point we're still in Queens. Did you go to college? Did you?
I went to Queens College.
Okay.
For like 2 years. I got to the point where it was time to be serious. Okay, am I going to stay in here and do 2 more years for liberal arts? I don't really know. I knew that I wanted to be out of Queens, and I knew that I wanted to live in Manhattan, in the city, we call it. We go to the city.
Yeah. I always loved that. When I was living in Brooklyn, I always loved it. Like, oh, we're going in the city today, and you take 2 stops and you're in Manhattan.
Yeah. It was longer for me in Queens. It was a lot. It was a bus ride. It was a bus to the train, and we were way out there. Where I'm from in Queens is kind of like the gateway to Long Island.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like most people, when they know Queens, they just know Astoria. That's all they know.
Right.
That's all I know.
Yeah, which is cool. Astoria is very cool. Anyway, so I decided I just wasn't gonna. I left college, and I did. I moved it. I went in and got a job at a music publishing company called Carl Fisher in Union Square. Not Union Square, it was Cooper Union, where the college is. Okay. And I somehow managed to get a tiny little apartment under 400 square feet, and it was like under $400 a month, and it was rent controlled, and I lived there forever. I mean, the rent never went above $900, and I just left there 10 years ago. So it was like,
that's amazing.
Wow. I was very, very lucky. It was tiny, but location. I was in, arguably, I mean, you tell me there's a cooler place in the world. I will tell you you're a liar. At the time, it was the coolest place on earth. The East Village was just it. I mean, people really, and this was the 90s, 2000s, right? And then everybody couldn't afford it. They moved to Brooklyn. That's when Brooklyn became Brooklyn, because nobody went to Brooklyn ever. Nobody gave a shit about Brooklyn.
That's what tripped me out, is because I remember first learning about New York and no one ever talking about Brooklyn. And then now my friends have moved there, and they're like, "You got to come see us in Brooklyn."
Like, I would have to laugh whenever, because I lived in Williamsburg, area for the majority of the time I was living in New York, and it was always funny meeting like an old Brooklynite, and you'd be walking down a street, and they'd be like, like 10 years ago, you couldn't even walk down this street, and you're like, like, no, I believe you. You don't convince me. I know. I was like, even now, I'm not really that confident.
I was in a band with this guy named Richie Bamboo, and the band was called Bamboo.
Yeah. And
he loved the Telecaster, and he was Springsteen guy, and he just loved the Telecaster. And just rock and roll. And I played drums, and he was a great singer, great performer, and he lived in a place called East New York.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I remember he used to say, be careful. We'd rehearse at his house. He said, just be careful when you get out of the car.
Yeah.
There's like wild dogs are kind of everywhere. And I didn't know if that was code for like crazy people or real wild dogs.
Yeah.
Didn't matter.
Just head on a swivel.
What I could tell you is that East New York had always been one of the most dangerous and scary places like in the country.
Right.
And now you can't afford to live in East New York. You can't even afford it. Like you couldn't even imagine live. Like I'm like, it blows my mind. But God bless. You know, it's
what I had a very profound moment. So I haven't been back to New York in 2.5 years. Left in January 2020, and then there was a whole thing that happened. I don't know if you guys remember. Still kind of going through it a little bit, but I didn't get a chance to go back until last week. And the first moment that I was like, oh, I'm back in New York is before my show last Wednesday. A friend invited me to grab a drink, and it was the same beer I've had in Nashville 1,000 times, just like a regular IPA, and it was like $10, and I was like, "Oh, I'm back in New York, baby!" Like, it was just I couldn't get over the prices all weekend because I always think Nashville's expensive, and then I just 5 days in New York, and I was like, you know what? I can make Nashville work. I just need to budget a little bit better.
That's why if I see someone smoking a cigarette in New York, I'm like, man, y'all must really
want it. You gotta want it. You gotta. But still,
I wouldn't pay those prices for sure.
But it's all relative because I think the same way. I think back to what the days of me being there. I'm like, how did I do it? You know, I mean, I was, you know, my first job in New York, I was making $400 a week. How did I do? How did I do it? You know, and then later on, I made more money. I mean, you just do it. You know, it's just all relative. It's remarkable. I mean, the fact that Nashville is as expensive it is now, I could care less about it. I think it's, you know, coming from New York, I'm like, all right, well, at least the food is better here now, but the transportation's horrible. You know, people can't fucking drive, and the value is, you know, you're still in Nashville. I mean, it's cool.
Yeah.
But, you know, but again, everything's relative. The one thing I need to tell you, young people out there, is that don't expect prices to go down. They're like, oh, once it eases up, I'm like, no. This is it. Then
this is going to be the floor.
You're going to say things like, I remember when it used to be this price. And then you're going to be one of those people. It's called getting older. So there's your PSA. It's unfortunate, but that's the way life goes. I mean, but you realize that you become your parents and your grandparents because they're like, I remember when it was a nickel, you know.
I love those commercials where it's the homeowners becoming their parents.
The guy,
the guy. I think it's Geico.
Oh yeah, those are very funny.
Progressive,
or Allstate or something like that. Yeah, and they're gonna go see a movie, and it's just
they got the coat seat.
Those are great commercials.
My mom did that growing up.
Very smart commercials. Yeah, geared towards people of well, you know what age, you know.
All right, cool. So you got your own apartment. What avenue were you on in East Village?
I was on 5th Street between 1st and 2nd Avenue.
Oh, dope. Okay,
5th
cool.
between 1st, 2nd. And I was just there recently. Walked by the apartment. I kissed my wife right in front of my apartment where I've taken so many girls. You know, I say, oh, baby, I gotta kiss you right here. You know, and it was great. And I was fabulous. We were there a few months back in the fall playing a show at we were at Mercury Lounge. I say Mercy Lounge is Nashville, Mercury Lounge.
Right.
And then Alex, my partner, my buddy and partner in Them Vibes, we grabbed a hotel room in the Lower East Side that night because and I just took him on a tour. I said, I don't know what's still open, what's still around.
Yeah.
And we went to bars and bagels and pizza and restaurants. We just did everything in the span of like 12 hours. And I took him by my apartment, and there was a girl walking in, and I'm like a fucking crazy person. I'm like, hey, I'm like banging on the door. I'm like, I used to live here. She can't even hear me. She's like, what?
Yeah, she's got her head. She's she's like, blasting Harry Styles right now.
She's like running away. I'm like, I used to live here. Like, she's like, I don't care, you know. So I scared that shit out of her, but you know, it was great. Always visiting the old stomping.
Like, the homeless are really starting to dress well.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It was a 5-story walk up, but I missed walking. I missed the city. I missed what it was. It was very cool, but yeah, we just did it. I was in a band. My thing was called Brother Love. Mm-hmm. And I was playing, gigging, working. I was working in, restaurants, and, I was acting. I was doing voiceover work and some on-camera commercial work and stuff, and just living, and it just went on. And then one day, my buddy who was producing and writing with me, my Brother Love Records, was working on this project. And he's like, man, I need a drummer for a gig on Thursday, which was like in 3 days or something. And at Arlene's Grocery.
Oh, cool.
Howard quit. I said, well, if Howard quit your band, he's gonna quit my. We had the same bunch of musicians. I was like, he hates me more than he hates you. He's definitely quitting my band. I said, but brother, man, I lived with you when you made this record. I know the songs, like I just know them. And I said, I hadn't played drums in years. I said, fuck it, let me play. So we played the show, and I had such a good time being back behind the kit.
Yeah.
And somebody came up to me and they said, hey, yeah, congratulations, man. I hear you're going to Nashville. And I was like, hey, man, you going to Nashville? And he's like, do you want to go to Nashville? I was like, yeah, why not? Let's go. And that was it. Went to Nashville.
Amazing.
The band was called Her and Kings County. And there was a management company and a booking agent. And they just said, do you guys play covers and everything? You want to work, go on tour? We said, yep. It was in the country world. So we went back to New York and we held auditions for a guitar player. And we found Alex Haddad, who ended up he's the guy that the co-founding member of Them Vibes. He and I. So that band did its thing on a label, off a label, the whole dance. And I actually met my future wife on a cruise ship in 2011, I think. We were on the Blake Shelton and Friends cruise ship because the band was on the same label as Blake Shelton.
Which is just where everyone meets their wife.
And my wife to be, Sarah Tomek, was the drummer for an artist named Maggie Rose, who I actually ended up working with all the years later. We were all on the same cruise ship together. And
that's so funny.
Yeah, we just became friends.
An actual love boat.
Yeah. It didn't work. I'm like, hey, I'm Brother Love. She was like, get the fuck out of my face with that bullshit.
And that's how you know. That's how
she's from Jersey. I'm from Queens. We had to meet out of Nashville. And we hung out. And so I ended up staying in Nashville. The band broke up and Alex and I were living together on the East Side. We had written a bunch of songs. We set up, we recorded our first record in our living room.
Oh, cool.
I played drums. I was able to send the record to Sarah. Hey, what do you think about this? And she's like, oh, I guess it's cool. And then she also, I got her to come over to the house because she was a Mets and a Jets fan, as I am. And so I was like, wow.
That's a real bond. Yeah. Those two sports teams that if you like, you got to really,
I said,
you tough fan base.
You pathetic heart. You must hate yourself. You are just a horribly sad person. I could love you forever. The fact that you love the same shit teams that I love, heartbreak year after year after year. So she would come over and watch the Jet games. I had the DirecTV, and one day she made a gravy. I'm going to make a gravy. It was Sunday, right?
Gotta have Sunday gravy.
Anybody who knows anything Italian, you make a gravy. It's not a sauce; it's a gravy. So meanwhile, needless to say, I thought my future wife was Italian for the first 6 months. She's not Italian. She tricked me, but it's okay. It's okay. I was balls in, folks. I was balls in.
Once you bond over Mets and Jets, you got.
Once you bond over that, you have a sauce, a gravy, your balls in. Doesn't matter who you are.
And you mistake your wife for Italian for something.
No, she seemed Italian. I grew up around Italians. She just seemed like it. I didn't bother to ask.
Yeah.
So that's how I met my wife. And Nashville. We stayed in Nashville. We had Them Vibes, and we've been doing that ever since. And it's been a wild ride, man. It really has been. Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, I mean, God, what a fun journey. The cruise ship thing is just, I don't know if I knew that about all of you meeting on that cruise ship. I mean, that's because you guys all collaborate so often.
We did. Yeah. What's funny is that I was back on that. Sarah has been back on that same boat.
Really?
Them Vibes, we did right 2020, the very beginning of 2020.
Yeah.
When life was
Them Vibes, we were on the same freaking boat, and it was the band Train. The band Train. It was their cruise.
Train has also played a part in our podcast.
It's so fun. You would not believe how many times Train has come up on this podcast. It's
we'll tell you in a second. Yeah.
They have a cruise. It's called Sail Across the Sun, because that's a lyric, I guess, right? And we actually won a contest. Somebody who was a big fan that was on their boat every year saw us play in Maryland, actually. And I think it was Maryland. I believe it was.
Okay.
And he was like, I love your band. You should be on this cruise. And they had the last slot for a contest, and we won. So we got on the boat. It was the same damn boat. It's the Norwegian Pearl. That's the Pearl.
Fantastic.
And it's like I know every inch of that fucking boat. It's insane.
That's what my car's called.
Yeah, but we were on. I remember being in our room, and they have a closed circuit TV for the news and stuff, and commercials. Every commercial is the singer from the train with his wine, or gets the band playing, like, buy our shit.
Oh my God,
which is great. You have to, and they were so generous. They were fantastic guys. Every band on that cruise was amazing. We had a blast. But I remember watching, and it was like there was a boat that looked just like ours. It was a cruise ship, and it was sitting off the coast of Japan. And there was something going on that boat, and everybody was quarantined.
Oh,
and I remember,
wow.
And I remember looking at it, being like, "It's over there. It's way across the other side of the world. Yeah. Can't happen here. Can't happen to us."
Yeah.
And a few weeks later, the whole world. I mean, we had no idea what it was, and a few weeks later, it was obviously all shut down. Yeah,
that's the same for me. I thought this was going to be a Toronto SARS kind of thing. That's their problem. It'll never get down here. But it did.
I was in Los Angeles. So I was in my first, I was going from New York to LA and then back to New York. And I was just touring across the whole country for the first time. And I remember being in LA, and the guy I was staying with, he turns and he's like, "Man, there's 3 cases in California. I'm getting pretty nervous about this." And I remember just saying out loud, I was like, "Yeah, remember swine flu? It's not going to be a big deal. It's just, it's going to probably target some old people. Kids will be fine." And then I just never thought about it. And then and then I think 3 weeks later, I'm back in my hometown of Hagerstown, Maryland, living with my parents. And I was like, "Oh, okay." Did not
in front of their clock right there.
And then the clock makes its debut.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. We didn't know. And actually, we got off the boat and we had a little Florida run, a little tour. And
that was
because Florida doesn't.
We stopped at my folks. My folks like to spend their winters in St. Petersburg. I mean, we got off the boat, we traveled, we gigged. I spent time with my 73-year-old, father who's in perfect health, only to get home a week later and find out, holy shit, I could have given everybody COVID. It was a miracle, because I remember there's the cruise ships, people stay in touch. It's like camp, you know what I mean? Or, people stay in touch. It's it's a wonderful thing. And I do recall some people being like, "Does anybody feel a little sick?" But you're like, it's a cruise ship. It's, eating. People have bugs, stomach bugs. It happens. But I think a lot of people ended up having COVID that didn't even know they had it.
Right.
What is it? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Crazy. Yeah.
It's fun. Now look at us now.
And look at us now.
We're
still zooming it. We're still zooming.
That's right. The real rock star is Zoom, bringing all us together. So one thing I do want to go back and touch on, just because I know this.
Keith and the girl.
I want to know
what you were going to say.
I want to know the Keith and the girl story.
I knew it.
I want to know it.
So there's Keith and there's the girl. The end. Okay. No.
Y'all sold that so well.
No. The Keith and the girl. So I had just put out my first record.
Okay.
And it was called Album of the Year.
I've listened to it. Love it.
Thank you. People would say, "Well, how could you name it Album of the Year? What the fuck, man?" And I'm like, "Well, it's the album of my year, motherfucker. So shut the fuck up." Anyway, and at the time, there was this thing called podcasting, right? It was brand new. And things were called Pod Safe. There was a Pod Safe network. Adam Curry, the old DJ from MTV, was like the king of podcasting, and everybody sat down and sucked Adam Curry's dick, and they loved he was beautiful hair, and he was a rock star, and you're kind of like, what is it? It's basically like, what's a pod? I mean, what the fuck is a podcast? What is any of it? And what I remember was I would get emails from a few different people, very small amount of people at the time. There was a guy in Hong Kong who hit me up. He was an American living in Hong Kong. And he said, "I have a show and I would love to play your song Summertime." I said, great. Have at it. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks for asking.
Yeah.
Next thing I knew, another guy played at another show and another show. And then people were getting in touch with me. And I was like, wow, this is something bananas to me. Like, I am being played on different shows. I don't know what they are. I don't get it. It's not radio. It's something, and you have to understand, really take yourself back to 2004, 5, 6, right?
Right.
Like,
what? Spotify's not out, right? Like, it's not like there's not like streaming. Yeah.
No, this is a Napster. When was Napster? I mean,
I think Napster was around
late 90s.
Late 90s. So that had been around. So I'll say, so you kind of got a feling that music was free and people were mad and angry about that.
Yeah.
Very angry.
What made you scary about it? Because I remember, you never saw it, but you heard the horror stories of people coming in and busting in your house for downloading music on, like when.
Yeah, it's funny, right? That's because they were protecting the rights of everybody. Exactly. They were actually protecting the rights of the record labels. They never gave a shit about the artists. No. They still don't. They never did, never have, never will.
My album just got taken off of Spotify, and I'm like, oh no,
why?
I don't know. I haven't done enough. It happened while I was on the road, so I'm like, I'll deal with this when I get back. But I'm like, oh no, that's $12 every 3 months that I'm missing out on, like it's just
that's strange. That is strange.
Well, they started ripping off a lot of comedians. There was I don't remember the whole correlation, but Joe Rogan was in a lot of trouble. And then at the same time, Spotify started taking comedians' albums off of Spotify
instead of paying
them. And then I don't remember being too vocal about it, but maybe who knows? But yeah. So anyway, I just found out because I thought
vocal about something. Come on. Does that match up?
Well, now your fight. Now it's like, what is it? Yeah. All right. Come on, Davey. Goliath awaits.
Will Abeles versus Spotify.
Yeah. This time it's for real.
Yeah. So sorry. So take us back to 2004.
So I mean, like, whatever it was, 4 or 5. My record came out 2004. So this is somewhere 5, 6, I guess. Anyway, so I'm being played on different shows. And I thought, this is phenomenal. And then I also started catching wind that people were like, musicians were like, well, why would you do that? People are stealing your music. And I said, well, people are playing my music.
Yeah.
My attitude was, thank you for asking.
Right.
And what my thoughts were, and I was honest, I said, look, I would appreciate it if you buy the song. If you buy the song, you can do whatever the fuck you want with the song.
Right.
If not, still cool, but I make money off of this. I'm an artist. So just so you know, it's just not, it costs me money to create this. In case you didn't know, this is, my art.
Yeah.
People take things people hold zero to be very precious.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is that 0 plus 0 is fucking 0.
Yeah.
So if you're a nobody, like I was a nobody, well, and nobody cares and nobody's listening and nobody's buying, then who cares?
Yeah,
so for you who have 0 to be complaining and moaning, I'm going to hold on to this piece of 0 because of what? Yeah. So I just thought, people are playing it. People are digging it. There's something new here. I wasn't as insightful, or I didn't have the foresight to be like, music's going to be free, everybody. But I did see that it was the case. And so they got angry at me, and I said, well, what are you angry for? And my name is Brother Love, by the way. So I was able to, kill him with kindness. How the fuck knows?
Yeah.
So
I'm super nice, man.
That's super nice. Yeah, right. If you get to know me, that's bullshit, right? I mean, I'm a human being. So then there were these podcast conventions. These were amazing. So these conventions were kind of like Comic-Con, but smaller, and for podcasters. So like everybody's a star, I mean, everybody has a handle, a name, so it's for me. I went to these because people were playing my songs. I was not a podcaster. I was a guest on people's shows. People would talk to me. They played my songs. Adam Curry, who was the big man. There was money, supposedly. There was advertising. You could make money with advertising. these startup companies. They were everybody. It was the Wild West, and just figuring it out. You had a lot of people who were just living at home. Mom, I'll be up in a minute. I'm busy. This isn't a video game. I swear, I'm doing something important. And then you had people, and they made, they did nothing and petered out. Then you had the same cats who stuck with it, made some advertising, made money, or it was just the Wild West. Yeah. And I went to these conventions, and I met Keith and the girl, and I knew they were a big deal, but I didn't really know who they were.
Right.
And I remember when I met them, I think we were playing pool, and Keith was very, he's a very, I want to say standoffish. He's not standoffish. He's just a reserved human being. I am like, hey man, what's going on? Well, what's happening? You guys live in New York. I'm a New Yorker. Wow, we have a connection. And then when I met Chemda grew up around the corner from where I lived.
Oh, wow.
So I meet Chemda, and it's like, where are you from? Queens. I'm from Queens. We're in California, by the way. We are at a convention in California. And she's like, I'm from, Jamaica, Queens. I'm like, I grew up in Fresh Meadow. We grew up. I said, wow, that's crazy. She said, wow. She said, yeah, I lived right off of Union Turnpike. I said, I used to work in the bagel store on 189th Street. She's like, Turnpike Bagels. I'm like, yeah. She's like, oh my God. And I'm like, what do you mean? She's shocked. I'm like, there's something, a light bulb. I'm like, what's going on? She's like, I used to have the biggest crush on you. I used to come into the store when I was a kid. And I'm like, wait a minute. You were that little girl with like the unibrow. You had like one eyebrow, right? Like I'm such a dick. The one thing that I remember, she's like, yeah, I had a fucking yeah, thanks, asshole. I'm like, no, I'm sorry.
That's how I remember you. I'm sorry.
We're related because we knew each other. Oh, I'm in love with this person because we're from the same place,
Yeah.
Like I would come and buy like the dumbest thing so I could just see you, I'm like, I remember you, like I was a few years older than her, I guess.
Oh, that's so fun. And I love this, like goes back to the like, hey, I'm a nice guy. All right.
Well, here's what happened. They had me in for an interview. I can't remember which interview because they had me in for a couple of interviews, and I guess they had me in for an interview, and I thought it went well.
Mm-hmm.
Then we go our separate ways and all that, and people are starting to that people are getting to me saying, wow, Keith and the girl, man, they're really shit talking you. I'm like, wow, why? Like, I don't know. And I just was like, what's going on? What did I do? What did I do? I was like, I must have offended them. I have no idea. And I don't know how much time passes by. I'm just doing my thing. Right. They have me on the show, and their studio at the time was not far from where I grew up. Like they had an apartment in Queens, not Astoria, further out. And I knew exactly kind of, where the neighborhood. And this was the show where they ambushed me. They kind of were like, so what's the deal with you? Like kind of getting the feeling like you're kind of just putting it on. Like, we don't believe that you're like, you're always on, you're like, like a brother love, you're full of energy, and you're like happy, and you're nice to people, and you're always on. And we're like, we kind of feel like you're just, you're not genuine, and you're full of shit in so many words.
Could you imagine bringing a guest on the show and just be like, all right, get down to it?
Have you heard? Do you know who Keith Malley and Chemda Khalili are? That's like walking into that is working into like an inferno. Yeah. And but being like, wow, I think it's just a little hot in here.
This seems nice.
It's like walking in and being like, wow, this house is nice. Like, it's on fire, you idiot. I don't know. It's kind of nice. Like, just like rose-colored glasses, and I'm like, and I said, I kind of took it in, and I said, man, I said, I got to be honest with you. You've seen me and know me. I'm not always this way by far. I am as dark as they come, sad. I have I was like, just like you comics, you dead inside motherfuckers, all of you, every single one of you, right? Comics, right? Otherwise, why do you do what you do, right? Come on.
I feel it. Yeah.
Right. And I said, I didn't say that to them, but I said, when we have been together has been in groups of people, and you've seen me perform groups of people, and we've actually just talked around other people, even just you and I, right? I said, man, I just am so excited. I'm blown away that anybody gives a shit, A, and that anybody is listening, B. And, it's like, I'm like, so when the audience or whomever it may be is excited, I'm just feeding off of it. I'm just being I'm being as present and with you as possible. And I'm just feeling the love. So I get excited and then I feel the love. And so then it's very ebullient. Yeah. And that's just all it is, man. I am the exact 180 opposite of this a lot of the times. And if we get to know each other, you'll see that. But
yeah, you're just absorbing the energy and feeding off it. Yeah.
And Keith Malley, he said something like, "How could you hate Brother Love?" And that was it. It was love, 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 and we've been best buddies. He was the best man at my wedding. Hell, he was
fantastic.
He was one of two. I couldn't decide.
Co-chairman.
I didn't want to just make it Keith Malley and Alex Haddad, that my buddy.
Right.
And I didn't tell either of them. And so
they both show up as your best
I'm the best man. Like
we got married in Maui. We all show up and they're both, I'm like, you kind of are both the best men.
Tag team champions of the world.
And they proceeded to write the greatest speeches ever. They roasted the shit out of me at my wedding. They destroyed in the best possible way. They took it was like grand slam home run after. Keith was hilarious and we were laughing and crying, and Alex was hilarious, laughing and crying.
Oh, so they did it separately. Oh, that's even better.
Yeah. It was a roast. It was genius. Fantastic. But Chemda and Keith and I have been such good friends, and I'm not in New York. I just saw him about 2 weeks ago. I went up to visit. I went to a Mets game. I saw my dad and my stepmom in Long Island, my sister, and I went to Astoria and I spent the night with Keith and, catching up. I love him so much. He is one of the funniest people I've ever met in my life. And Chemda is so insightful. She's hilarious. And they are just such a wonderful comedy team. Yeah. And I told him all about you, Will. I told him all about you. I said, I don't know him very well, but he brought me lamb one time. And I thought that was really cool.
I brought you like that. That wasn't just, that was like $25 worth of lamb or something ridiculous.
I still don't remember how or why. Could you refresh my memory? I was very high during the time. This
is obviously the go-between was Reed, and this is a very Reed moment, because if without Reed, that meat just gets thrown out. I think
without Reed, there's no lamb, ladies and gentlemen.
There's no lamb without Reed.
Right.
So
I hope you call this
Nashville, huh?
I hope this show is called "There's No Lamb Without Reed," or "Without Reed, There's No Lamb."
We're gonna change it after this. Yeah, now it has to be. So I was visiting Nashville for the first time, and I spent 2 weeks there. I did shows both weekends. The first weekend, I just was kind of like, I haven't been out of the house in so long. This is crazy. And then I went to Kentucky and I quarantined for a couple days, and Reed and I matched up on Bumble. And then she was like, "Oh, come hang out." Bumble. Yeah. And she's like, "Oh, come hang out." So then Reed and I just ended up hanging out for a couple days. And on the final, like I at some point, because I like cooking, I like it, whatever. So where I was staying is actually very close to where I currently now live in Nashville. And there is, I can't remember, PB Butcher. Is that right?
The butcher by, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Is it PB? I know. Yeah.
I think it's PB Butcher, but okay. I just was like feeling fancy, and so I went and I got this lamb, but I didn't know how much to actually get. And then I get back to the Airbnb and I have nothing to cook this lamb with. And I'm like, oh, this is a huge waste of money, which is kind of the theme of my life.
Your life.
And so that the final day I was like, "Hey, Reed, I have all this extra food. Do you want it?" And she was like, I'll bring it to Brother Love, and I'm going to cook him this meal. And because I think your wife was out of town at the time.
Yeah.
And that's how it happened. That's how you ended up getting this random.
But didn't you, but am I crazy, or did you come over separately on a separate occasion and bring me the lamb?
Oh, it did end up. That's actually you're completely right. It was the first time I met you.
You couldn't find anybody to cook the lamb.
Yeah.
And then you waited till the very possible last minute and said, you know what? I'm going to go to Larry's house, drop this fucking lamb off. It's you know.
That's what it was. It was Reed was introducing us because we were watching football that day, and I showed up and I was like, I have this lamb. That's what it was. Sorry, I forgot.
That's right. So, and by the way, it's COVID, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. My dear friend who I hadn't seen, Reed, in forever, comes over. We figure, let's be safe. Oh, by the way, do you mind if I invite a complete fucking stranger that you've never met to your house now? And I'm like, you son of a bitch, dumb. Why? I'm glad she did. You know, that was great. But I remember, you know, because think about that now, right? We're in a different time. We're over that hump.
Absolutely. No. This is
but
November or October of 2020.
Why are you inviting anybody to anywhere? You know,
people shouldn't be hanging out.
Yeah, and he's like, well, I may have COVID, but at least we'll have lamb. You know.
But none of us got COVID, as far as I know.
No, we didn't. No.
But it was, but that's how that ended up there. Because I remember, I think Reed came back to cook it or something like that. But yeah. I brought him a nice lamb.
He brought me a nice lamb.
That's what I do. I don't think I've brought Drew lamb before.
You're missing out.
Yeah. Well, you can bring me Taco Bell if you want to make up for it.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not the same, Drew. Come on, Drew. aim high, Drew. Aim fucking high, bro.
PB Butcher they are the best butcher in Nashville. This is the new sponsor we're going for. And they're gonna probably text us and be like, hey, it's actually like PR Butcher, you idiot.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I got some fresh jalapenos. Can you bring me some skirt steak, make some tacos?
Do something like that.
Okay.
All right. Well, Brother Love, thank you so much.
Yes.
It's been a journey. And I had a blast. This was one of my favorite.
Thank you for being our first
non-stand-up,
not stand-up, but still in the musical comedy world.
Thank you. I hope we got to everything.
We had great story, great path.
I mean, as long as you touched on the darkness that's inside of all of us and the light that can.
You had me at dead inside. I was like, this guy gets it.
Oh yeah. Well, let me ask you boys something. And seriously, are you both drinkers, or are you past drinkers, or what's your relationship to alcohol?
I was really good at it, so I've toned it down quite a bit.
Yeah,
I can close down a bar or two in my day for sure.
Do you find that most comics are either raging alcoholics or absolutely sober? Most, not everybody.
Yes. Yeah. There's no middle ground, and that's why I personally have chilled out, because there wasn't a middle ground. It was going out for a drink or two, and next thing you know, you're hammered, figuring out how you're getting home at 3.
Yeah. I haven't had a drink in 5 weeks, and it was but I always found that to be the case sort of with comics, especially because I was a guest a lot on the Keith and the Girl show, and I would just be there. And if anything happened in my life, they'd be like, come on over. I'm like, well, you have a guest. Like, who cares? Come on over. I mean, I've met some, like Kristen Finnegan and, a million. I remember Hannibal Buress, and, they've had such great guests on. Jesse Joyce, and, just so many great comedians that I got to I couldn't believe that I was sitting at the same table with. And it's always been the case. Like, some of them are really, really in that, scary place that they're scared for themselves, or they just tone it back. But
when with New York specifically, New York comedy, I noticed it the second, because I was a younger comic for a while, and now I'm an older comic. But when I was
a younger comic for a while, that's great.
but I've noticed.
You don't say, Will. You don't say.
To be fair, he still lives like he's.
I was an older comic, and then I became a younger comic. It was pretty amazing.
I'm a little Benjamin Button of comedy. But no, my only point is that when I was a younger comic, I noticed that every time a comic hit around 30, they would always get sober, and I used to always joke that 10 years of drinking in New York, you just have to, get sober, because you'll be dead by 35 anyway.
You've been to Wilmington. You knew I couldn't keep up that pace.
Oh my God. I can't, I have to take a year off every time I go to Wilmington.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And that's where I was doing most of my drinking. Wilmington, North Carolina. If you've ever had the joy of getting down there, it will suck.
I've been. Well, a lot at America is a part. America's a party town, man.
It is. It's great.
America's a party town. Put that on my grave.
I think you got your next shirt for sure.
Yeah, right.
God. Yeah. Let me just finish selling the 15 million I have left, and then I'll get a new shirt.
That's fair.
Well, thanks, guys.
Yeah. Hey, thank you so much, man. I truly appreciate it. Where can they find you online, or your projects coming up or anything?
Yeah, what do you got coming up?
It's all at Brother Love, at Them Vibes.
Mhm.
We just played a big show in Nashville at the Basement East, and it was fabulous.
Yeah, it looked amazing.
Check out. Thank you. Just get to know Them Vibes. THEMVIBES. It's funny with that band name. I feel like every time we say it, Alex or myself, we're like a mush mouth. What's the name of your band? Them Duds. I'm sorry, what? Them Duds? I'm like, no, Them Vibes. Them Vibes. I'm like, no, us and them. Good vibes. There we go. So, but we have a single coming out in a few weeks called Love Is Free. It's called Love Is Free. And just stay in touch, and peace and love. And
yeah, we'll have to go get a very moderate one drink here at some point.
We'll get one drink.
I got
my lamb.
I got my Bud Zero, my Budweiser Zero.
Oh, there you go.
Awesome.
Okay.
Yep.
Nice.
I do.
Check that out.
Right on.
Check that out. Thank you so much, guys. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. We'll see you next time.
Yep.
My